Ron Savoy of Stratus Innovations Group, and welcome to another one of our Webinar Wednesdays. What we'd like to present today is showing you how you can use Office 365 as an organizational-wide email archive solution, and doing this at a very low-cost manner and very simple to set up. We call this solution sort of our poor man's archive, poor man's compliance solutions because it is so incredibly inexpensive, but it gives you a good amount of the functionality, not all, but a good amount of the functionality that you would get with an on-premise appliance for email archive. An online email archive service, or even some of the functionality that you'll get in a e-compliance legal hold perspective. So we'll walk you through what this is like. What we're proposing and what the solution will do is create, what we're going to do is in Office 365, we're going to create a centralized mailbox. And that centralized mailbox is going to have every email message that is sent and received by the organization show up in that mailbox. So that way you can do centralized search. Somebody calls and says, gee, I received this email message, but I can't find it, or they said they sent it, I can't find it. I sent an email message, I can't find that in my sent items folder. Or more importantly, you may get a call from HR and compliance, HR and legal for compliance to say, that they believe that someone or multiple people may be sending email of inappropriate content, may be violating organizational email policies, or using email that could be to the detriment and a liability risk to the organization. And this provides you a centralized mailbox to search for any and all individuals that could be violating these principles, or as I mentioned before, being able to do a centralized search for individuals. A lot of this you can accomplish via the first piece of somebody lost an email and you need to find it. You can set up an individual archive for that person, but that requires you to go to each person's individual archive to do it, and it's have to know their credentials to get to it. And as I mentioned, for the compliance perspective, if multiple people could be potentially abusing the corporate email system, then you'd have to go to those individuals to go through it. And this will give you a single repository, a single mailbox to search through. So we think this will give you a lot of really good functionality, gives you very close to the e-compliance option with Exchange Online Plan 2, but what this allows you to do is do it at a much lower price point for organizations that can't afford to put the entire organization on an Exchange Online Plan 2. So doing it a little less expensively, but using the trade-off of not getting all of the rich Exchange Online Plan 2 compliance and rights management functionality. So let's go over this for you. As we mentioned, this is an extremely easy process to set up. The only downside or concern that we have with this solution right now is that this is on a small to medium-sized business scale. The reason being is that Exchange Online Plan 1 and Exchange Online Plan 2 come with the ability to set up an online archive and to basically drop items from your primary mailbox to this archive. In Exchange Online Plan 1, this archive is included in the 50 gigabyte per mailbox size limit. And in Exchange Online Plan 2, that archive is outside of that 50 gigabyte limit. The Microsoft documentation on Exchange Online Plan 2 says that you can create an online archive with unlimited storage, so that you essentially have an unlimited mailbox. In retrospect, or in practice, that online archive, it does have an upper limit. When you initially provision the online archive, that limit, the quota is set to 100 gigabyte. As you reach that 100 gig limit, that automatically gets bumped up to roughly about a quarter of a terabyte, maybe a third of a terabyte. and you can call support to get it raised a little at some point, but it is not unlimited. So there would be some level of hitting that ceiling of how much storage that you have in that central mailbox. We're hoping that Microsoft changes that to be a truly unlimited storage mailbox with how incredibly inexpensive cloud storage is becoming. So hopefully we can get to that. But until that time, this really isn't ready for an enterprise type deployment because just simply because how quickly an enterprise-wide, a very large organization would consume that entire online archive mailbox size. So for right now, we're just kind of limiting this to a small, medium-sized business. And as we mentioned, what this solution does is archive all emails sent and received by the entire organization, and not just doing an individual archive per person. So we'll walk you through that. As we mentioned, this is a very, very inexpensive solution. We call it poor man's archive, or poor man's compliance, compared to doing a full archive or a full e-compliance legal hold e-discovery versus using another hosted service, using Exchange Online Plan 2 for all mailboxes, or possibly an on-premise appliance. The requirements, as we have per the requirements information, here, the first piece is we just need a single mailbox that has an online plan 2 license. So for the entire organization, a cost of less than $100 per year for the entire organization. It's not per person, that's just for the entire organization. The other requirements are that this mailbox that we set up needs to be enabled for an online archive. We have to put that mailbox on a legal hold. The reason for doing that is primarily around so we can use the rich e-discovery search tools that come in Office 365 when a mailbox for an Exchange Online Plan 2 mailbox is on a legal hold. So we're using it predominantly for that so that we can easily and quickly find content that we're looking for. The next piece is that we've got to set up special retention tags and retention policies so that we are moving email from the primary mailbox to this online archive. And then the final piece, which makes everything come together and which is the key to making this all happen, is creating a mail flow control rule for all messages. So let's walk you through how we would set all that up. First, what we're going to show you is that here is the account or the mailbox that we've got set up for our organization. We call it Email Archive. From a licensing perspective, it says Enterprise Plan 3, but all we have licensed that mailbox for is just the Exchange Online Plan 2 license. So you'll see that here. All we've got is Exchange Online Plan 2. So let's jump over to the Exchange Admin Center. So once you set up that mailbox, license it for Exchange Online Plan 2, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create that mail flow control rule. And again, this purpose of this mail flow control rule is to essentially send all email messages to that central mailbox. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a new mail flow control rule, and we are going to call this our organization email archive rule. Apply this rule to any and all messages. And what we are going to do is we are going to BCC the message to that email archive mailbox. So we're going to select that and that, click OK, and click Save. So we're going to apply this and we'll start this now. So once we have set this up, let's let this finish and get that rule applied. And now next thing we're going to do is we are going to go in and we are going to set up the retention tags and the retention policy. So the first thing we're going to do is set up a retention tag, and the sole purpose of the retention tag is to the process again of moving email from the primary mailbox to the archive. As you see in Office 365 out of the box, they have a default policy that says you move any mail items in the primary mailbox that are 2 years or greater to the archive. We're concerned that given that 50 gigabyte limit of the primary mailbox, 2 years may be too long. So what we like to do is set that up to a shorter shorter time period. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply a new rule, call this the online archive tag. We're going to move that to the archive, and we're going to do this when anything hits. We're going to just say 6 months, or roughly 6 months, 180 days. So what we're doing is we're setting up that tag. Now we're going to set up a policy and that policy, all it's going to do is just have that tag. So we're going to call this the organization archive policy, and we're going to add that tag that we just added. So the online archive tag, 60 days, and the action, of course, is move to the archive. So we're going to add that, and we're going to save that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is go into the recipients, that mailbox itself, and we're going to set the properties for that mailbox. So now we have this mail flow control rule that is copying messages to this mailbox. But what we want to do is, again, due to the size limitation of the mailbox, we want to move to the online archive, which that mail flow control rule is doing. But we want to set the policies in here, as well as setting the enabling the online archive and enabling the legal hold. So the first thing we're going to do, our retention policy, we're going to change it, and we're going to select that policy that we just created. We are then going to scroll down. I'm going to enable archiving. Let's click the details of that. And we're going to call this the organization online archive. As I mentioned, the quote unquote unlimited storage of the online option. You can even see this here. It says unlimited storage is a premium that requires Exchange Online Plan 2, but the quota that you are assigned that you cannot change is set to 100 gig. Again, this gets bumped up automatically as soon as you hit that, roughly to about a quarter to a third terabyte. You can call in support to get it bumped a little bit more, but it is not indefinite yet. So. But I wanted to make sure you saw that. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to enable the litigation hold, and we are going to leave the duration blank, which means it's indefinite. It's going to be an infinite hold. So we're going to save that and save that. So that's it. That's the only steps that we need to do to set up the online archive for the organization. And to show it in practice now, let me send an email. I'm going to send an email to Jill, our marketing person, and asking about our email campaign that's going to be going out next week. Email campaign. And we connect today to discuss the email campaign for next week. I'll send that. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to jump over to this is that mailbox. This is the online archive. You see, that's the mailbox name. And as you can see, we already have email that's been flowing into it. So that concludes our discussion for today. We look forward to working with you on the future, and look forward to presenting next Wednesday when we start covering our Active Directory Federation, Active Directory Federation in Office 365, where the Active Directory infrastructure is in Windows Azure. Look forward to talking to you then. Thanks.